So if ever a game summed up exactly where we are as a club at the moment, it was certainly this one, snatching a draw from the hands of victory. This is the Burnley versus Arsenal match review. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, the Positive Arsenal channel. In this video, I'm going to look back on yesterday's disappointing draw here at Turf Moor against Burnley. I'm going to look at the team lineups, analyse the performance, and try to select a man of the match. Just before I get into all that, I want to make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you're new here, you like what I do, please click on the subscribe button down in the corner there. It is free. I do regular content regarding Arsenal with a positive vibe, usually, or as positive as it can be in the circumstances. Please give this video a like as well. Please share the content around, and if you've got any comments at all to make about this particular game or the club in general, where we're heading at the moment, or anything at all to do with Arsenal, please drop me in the comments box below, as I do love to hear from you guys, and I do try to reply to as many as possible. In terms of the team lineup then, Mikel Arteta actually made 5 changes to the side that had won 3-1 so impressively at Leicester last weekend. So this is how we lined up. It was Burnley in goal. The first change was at right back. Cedric was apparently taken ill, so he was out of the squad completely. And instead of Bellerin coming in at right back, it was actually Callum Chambers. He hasn't started a Premier League game since December 2019, of course, when he got injured in that game against Chelsea. The rest of the back four was exactly as it was last week. So it was David Luiz and Pablo Mari as the 2 centre-backs, and Kieran Tierney as expected at left back. In midfield, Thomas Partey came in to replace Mohamed El Neni. It's his first start, of course, since his injury, and he was partnered by Granit Xhaka as usual. And in the front four, there was actually 3 changes again. So Mikel Arteta really shuffling his attacking pack. So Bukayo Saka was back in on the right-hand side in place of Pepe. A bit unfortunate to be left out of this team following a great performance last week. Odegaard replaced Emile Smith-Rowe in the number 10 position. Of course, he's injured at the moment. And it was Aubameyang played through the centre in place of Lacazette. Of course, he has got a great goal-scoring record against Burnley. Willian was the only one in the front four to keep his place following his man of the match performance last week. In terms of Burnley, then they only made 1 change from their midweek draw here against Leicester. That was in midfield, where Goodmanson came in for Jack Cork. So this is how they lined up in a 4-4-2 formation, typical Sean Dyche. It was Nick Pope in goal. Their back four was Loughton, Tarkowski, Ben Mee and Taylor. So in midfield, it was Goodmanson was on the right, Westwood and Brownhill moved into the centre, and it was Dwight McNeil on the left, and up front again it was Vidra and Wood. No Ashley Barnes, of course, for Burnley. Good goal scoring record against Arsenal, but he was injured. So they were your lineups for this game. Well, I mean, what can you say about the performance, certainly from Arsenal's perspective? As I said at the beginning, typical real performance that sums up exactly where the club are at the moment. We actually started this game well, something that we've been critical of over recent weeks. We've been starting slowly, gone behind, but in this game, we were on the front foot right from the start, and we did get the early goal as well, exactly what we needed. It was a good move as well. His ball played from Thomas Partey to Willian on the left-hand side. He played it out to Aubameyang, and then Aubameyang did what he does best, of course, cutting in from that left-hand side, got the ball onto his right foot. Instead of curling a shot into the far corner, this time he shot early in at the near post. It maybe caught out Pope a little bit, and although he got a hand to it, he could only deflect it into the corner of the net, and it gave us the perfect start. For much of that first half, we were the dominant team. We were pressing Burnley, we had them on the back foot, and we did create 2 or 3 opportunities to really kill the game off. Bukayo Saka had one. It was a good move, actually, a nice 1-2 with Aubameyang. The ball maybe kindly deflected to him, but he prodded it wide at a post from a tight angle when he maybe should have scored. Aubameyang put a shot into the side netting as well, again following a ricochet inside the penalty area. And Thomas Partey had a clear opportunity to get his first goal for the club. Good play by Odegaard down the right-hand side. He pulled the ball back to the edge of the penalty area, but Partey fired his shot into the stand that you can see behind me there. Really, we were looking comfortable at this stage. Burnley are offering nothing at all, certainly from an attacking sense, and it just looked as though if we could get the second goal, it would kill the game off and we would go on and get 3 points. But in typical Arsenal fashion, just like we did at Wolves a few weeks ago, not long before half-time, we committed absolute suicide. Yes, we like to play the ball out from the back, we know that, and sometimes we get caught out, but there was no excuse for this actually. Leno's ball to Granit Xhaka just inside the penalty area, it wasn't a great ball, he was under pressure, but there were several things Xhaka could have done. The one thing you don't want to do in that position is just play it across your goal, which is what he did. It deflected off Chris Wood into the empty net. A really embarrassing goal to concede. It would be an embarrassing goal to concede at Sunday League level, let alone in a top flight of English football. Just a comedy goal really, and Chris Wood himself looked really embarrassed to even celebrate it, and you can understand why. So instead we went in at the break 1-1 when we should have been 2 or 3 goals ahead. Very similar to the game, as I said, against Wolves last month. The second half then, that goal changed the game completely. Burnley came out with a lot more confidence and they took the game to us in that second half, and it certainly became a lot more of an entertaining game. There were chances at both ends, lots of substitutions as well. Mikel Arteta, for me, he didn't maybe make the right substitutions at the right time. I maybe understood him taking Odegaard off. He's played a lot of football lately and we have got a big Europa League game coming up at the weekend, but to bring Lacazette on and then play him in the number 10 position just seemed a strange decision when we were looking at trying to get back in the game. Surely go 2 up front, maybe change the shape of the team, change the system a little bit to try and win the game, but no, square pegs in round holes once again, and again that didn't really work. The other substitutions later on I suppose were a little bit more expected. Willian went off for Nicolas Pepe. That was probably the right substitution to make after a bright start. Willian had faded out of the game and Pepe also played well last week, but Pepe then missed an absolute sitter. Kieran Tierney put it on a plate for him and he missed his kick about 6 yards out when any decent contact would have been a goal. But then of course we did have some late penalty drama, didn't we? First of all, there's no doubt we should have had a penalty when Pepe's flick hit the arm of Burnley substitute Eric Peters, not once but twice. The second time in particular when his arm was out by his side. Clear penalty. We've seen them given near enough every single week in the Premier League this season, but for some reason referee Andre Mariner didn't give it and VAR didn't decide to review it either. Very strange decision, but again another VAR call has gone against us. Clearly someone at Stockley Park watched my show the other night when we spoke about VAR and clearly wasn't very happy that we wanted it scrapped, so they were determined to make us pay. That was then added to a little bit later on as well. Again, it was Nicolas Pepe involved. The ball came across to him and he's hit a shot. This time he did it well, it's on target, it was going in and Eric Peters deflected it onto the crossbar with the top of his shoulder. Clearly it wasn't a penalty, there's no doubt about it. The first replay clearly showed that, but referee Mariner decided to get involved. Not only did he give us a penalty, he actually showed a red card to Peters as well. Of course VAR this time did get involved, and yes, this decision they did get right, although quite why it took them 5 minutes to come to that decision I do not know. It was quite clear that it had come off Peters' shoulder and not his arm, and there was nothing wrong with it at all. From that moment on you kind of felt the game was drifting away from us a little bit. Burnley had a couple of chances to score themselves, a really good one from Chris Wood, lovely one too it was with Vidra, put him in, first time shot, but Leno did really well, came out, narrowed the angle and blocked it with his foot. A really crucial save that, because had we gone 2-1 behind at that stage you would have feared the worst. In the end the late onslaught didn't really happen. I was hoping Martinelli might have been thrown on with 10 minutes to go, but instead it was Dani Ceballos, not known for his goal scoring abilities, who was brought on to replace the tiring Thomas Partey. So instead of trying to maybe look as though we were going to try and push on to get the winner, it looked as though Mikel Arteta was just quite content to sit and hold on to what we had, and it's these negative tactics that have held us back this season. Although of course we did nearly snatch it at the end, didn't we? First of all, Aubameyang's shot was blocked by the outstanding Ben Mee, and oddly enough the ball fell to Ceballos just inside the penalty area. He hit a first time shot, but spun away from the goal, but actually hit the outside of the post and went clear, so it almost paid off the substitution, but I think that would have been more luck than judgment as it turned out, and at the end it finished in a 1-1 draw. Really disappointing that Arsenal have managed to be in such a strong position again away from home against a team that we should be looking at beating if we're totally honest, and we managed to throw it away. Yes, you can blame Granit Xhaka for the mistake, and I've tried to defend Granit Xhaka as much as I can because I do like him and I do think he's a good player for us, but he does make mistakes and there's just no excuses for that mistake at all. He could have done several different things with that pass, give it back to the goalkeeper, just kick it out for a corner, do anything other than that. So there's no excuse for that, and I can't make any excuses for him for that mistake, and it has cost us today. But having said that, we did have enough opportunities in this game to have won it anyway despite that. But it's 2 points dropped for me, and suddenly now the top 6 is looking further and further away now, isn't it? We are in fact 7 points off the top 6. We're 9 points off the top 4. European football via the league now is going to be very, very difficult, and suddenly it is all our eggs once again in the Europa League basket. I mean, how do we pick a man in a match from that performance? Very difficult, isn't it, really? I mean, Leno made a couple of good saves, actually, in the second half. Couldn't really do anything about the goal, obviously, although some people might criticise his pass to Xhaka. But Mikel Arteta is encouraging that type of play, isn't he? So I guess you can't really blame him for that. So overall, he was okay. And I say he did make a crucial save, actually, towards the end. I thought the back four generally were pretty solid, actually. I thought Chambers coming at right back, a little bit of a surprise, actually, with Cedric's illness. But he actually played well. And he lasted the whole 90 minutes as well, despite not playing very much football this season at all. Yes, he looked tired towards the end, but he was still pushing himself forward, and he did okay as well. I thought David Luiz and Pablo Mari at the back were pretty solid again. Very few mistakes from those two. I thought Mari dealt with Chris Wood pretty well throughout, actually. Kieran Tierney down the left-hand side, maybe not his best game, but even when he's maybe not quite at his best, he's still a solid performer, isn't he? And he still was probably a good solid 6 or 7 out of 10, wasn't he? The two in midfield started really well, didn't they? Partey and Xhaka again looking a good partnership for much of the first half, and then of course Xhaka made that mistake and he never really got his confidence back after that, and Partey faded out of the game in the second half. The front four not that great today overall, were they? Willian again, another one who had a bright start and then faded, had a hand in the goal of course. Saka wasn't perhaps at his best, didn't look as though he'd had a rest either, did he? He'd come back and looked very tired, not at his best, but maybe he needed that game to fire on for Thursday. And of course Odegaard looked good as well early on in that game and then faded in the second half, as did many others. And it was the same with Aubameyang, wasn't it? Took his goal really well, looked really sharp actually at the beginning, but didn't get much service after that, and again kind of faded out of the game in the second half. So it's quite difficult to pick a man of the match from this game because nobody played that well, did they? Certainly no one had their best game of the season, so it is going to be difficult. But having thought about it, I am going to decide that the man of the match for me is going to be Pablo Mari. As I said, I thought he handled Chris Wood really well throughout the game. I thought he was solid, his distribution was good, he won all his physical challenges. So for me, the man of the match in this game, Pablo Mari. It's just not really good enough, is it? Unfortunately, Mikel Arteta's negative tactics, lack of risk-taking is costing us points on a regular basis now. This was a game we should have had wrapped up. Yes, it's not Arteta's fault that we missed the chances. It's not Arteta's fault that Xhaka made that mistake, although I'm sure Mikel Arteta would be quite happy that we were trying to play it out from the back, which is what he is drilling into the team. In fact, he said almost that, didn't he, in his interviews after the game, that it's the way he wants us to play. Well, unfortunately, if this is the way you want us to play, Mikel Arteta, then it isn't good enough to get us where we want to be. Certainly not with this group of players, and if we're not in Europe next season, we're not going to get the investment to improve the squad significantly. So you've got to work better with the group that we've got, because that's the only way we're going to see any progress at all. I don't buy the fact that we've made improvements since Christmas, because we haven't really. We're still very, very inconsistent. We play well one game and then we can be poor for the next 2 or 3. And even during games, as we've seen in this game, in the game against Wolves, in other games as well, we can play well for one half or for bits and pieces in a game, but we can't turn that into enough victories. And I just feel as though a lot of it's to do with the negative tactics, the wrong substitutions, and apart from that last 5 minutes of injury time in this game, we're not throwing things at the opposition to try to get a result. We did give it a go yesterday, but unfortunately it was too late. We need to start taking those risks a lot earlier in games that we're not winning, and Arteta's got to learn quickly, or I'm afraid we are not going to progress. We're not going to be in Europe next season, and that might be the end for him. So that's my review there of yesterday's very disappointing 1-1 draw here at Turf Moor. So that's 3 games now without a loss, isn't it, since that game against Manchester City? But this performance, certainly in the second half, was nowhere near good enough, and we're going to have to improve massively if we're going to get through the Europa League game against Olympiacos this week, and of course win the North London derby next week. Of course, a game which is massive importance now, not only to us fans and the club, but also to where we are in the league. If we don't win that game next week, I think we can say goodbye to a European place from the Premier League position, and then everything's going to rest on the Europa League. And I honestly don't think we're good enough to win that competition with this current group of players who always got a terrible mistake in them. Stay tuned to the channel though, loads coming up this week. I'm going to be looking ahead to that Europa League game on Thursday against Olympiacos. I'll be doing a preview that will probably go out on Wednesday. I am hoping to get a live show out, or maybe on Tuesday, get some Arsenal fans on and just maybe dissect everything that's going on at the moment and how we're going to move the club forward, what needs to be done. So look out for that as well. And then of course there'll be a watch along on Thursday of the Olympiacos game before we then look ahead to the big North London derby at the weekend. So there'll be loads of stuff coming up. So if you haven't done so already, please click on the subscribe button down in the corner there, subscribe to the channel. I say it is completely free of charge. It does help the channel to grow, and I am putting a lot of work into these videos. I am putting out a lot of content, so please help to support the channel. Please give the video a like as well, share the content around. Let me know your comments in the box as well, what you made of it, or what you made of the team lineup, what you made of the performance, and what you're making of maybe the future under Mikel Arteta. Is he looking as though he's the right man, or do we think that maybe the end of the season, unless we win the Europa League, that maybe we'll have a different man in charge come August? But let me know what you think in the comments as well. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your comments in the box. In the meantime, as we head towards another massive week now, it is for Arsenal, isn't it? Probably the biggest week of the season. Come on, you Gunners!